Welcome back, everybody, to a special episode of Eat Real and Move. I'm your host, Coach Mo. We've got a special edition of the show today. We've got one of my longtime, very best friends in the world, Bart Borderline, on the call with me today via Skype, so you can look at both of our pretty faces, as we know you love to do now. Bart has, how long have we known each other, man?
20 years? Since college, so I guess right around, 3-4 years or 20.
Yeah. We just graduated. Now we met back in 1993, and the fun part about this, which I'll get to in a little bit, is a lot of people used to confuse us and think I was Bart and Bart was Morris, and would call us as such. And the irony behind that, which I didn't know at the time, was there was an attorney in South Louisiana. His name is Morris Bart, and we got that a lot. So anyway, Bart, thanks for coming on. Welcome, buddy. How you feeling?
I feel great, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to do, you guys, with this, Bart's going to be kind of our experiment. We're going to, I've been working with Bart for, 3 weeks now? You've been sick for the last week, so that doesn't really count. We'll call it about 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, you had about 2 solid weeks with me before I got the flu.
Okay, there you go. So we've been going strong for about 2 weeks of getting him back in shape and eating a healthy nutrition plan. But I kind of wanted to let you talk a little bit about where you were before we started, and kind of just give your 60 seconds of, Bart, here I am, and here's what I do.
Okay, so I've always been pretty athletic, enjoyed sports, playing ball, always trying to be active. And then I got married. And when I got married, I ended up with kids. I had 5 kids. And during that time, I literally stopped working out. And what I used to be able to eat anything I wanted to, and then all of a sudden everything that I ate seemed to just kind of stick with me. And so I got to the point where I was getting extremely frustrated. I have 2 boys that want to play sports and want to be active, and I want to be able to be active with them. I want to do more than just sit on my couch for the rest of my life. I want to go out and do things.
Right.
And so I called Morris up and I said, man, I need help. I don't know anything about nutrition. I've never been one that could prepare my own meals. I know a little bit about working out, but I get kind of overwhelmed when I start to think about it, because I want to make the perfect program. And should I run this many days a week? Should I do 2-a-days? I don't even really understand battle ropes. And then you got all these different programs that are out there. And for me, it was completely it was overwhelming. And I wanted someone to come in and say, look, here's what you need to eat. Here's what you don't need to eat. Here's what you need to stay away from. And here is a workout plan that's going to get you active, get you moving, get you flexible. That way I can go enjoy my life, not just with myself, but also with my kids, depending on what they may want to do.
Right.
It's one thing to play golf with my son. It's another thing to get out and go rock climbing with him. And he's got that type of personality that I could see us end up doing something like that.
Right.
And I don't want to wake up in 3 years and be completely unable to perform any type of physical exercise. So I came to a guy that I believe is an expert in it, and a friend that I knew I could trust.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. And just for you guys at home, and for those of you that I've worked with in the past, I don't really sugarcoat things much at all. So, in one of our initial conversations, Bart, I was pretty harsh on you. I talked a little bit about I would be surprised if you weren't pre-diabetic at the moment where we were almost 3 weeks ago. Just because, again, guys, we're both 5'10", I'm 170, and Bart is, let's say he wasn't 170.
Well, let's just go ahead and say what it is. I'm right at 5'11".
Yeah.
And I was 212 pounds when I first contacted Morris.
Yeah.
And I've never been that heavy in my life. So that was kind of a big shock for me.
Yeah. And the majority of what you were eating was, when I looked at your nutrition, was just sugar. Once you how many Starbucks mochas were you running through in a day, man?
Okay, so I have a couple of addictions, or I should say. I would drink 1 Starbucks mocha in the morning. That would be my breakfast. I would work, I'd do whatever. I'd have Mexican food, usually at lunch, and I would eat a bowl and a half of chips with hot sauce. And then I would pretty much eat, some sort of Mexican food, whether it be enchiladas or nachos or quesadillas. Then in the afternoon, I pretty much would swing back through Starbucks again, because I now was getting tired and was looking for some sort of energy boost.
Right.
And then at night, I would go out to eat at a restaurant. I'm single now, so when I don't have my kids, I don't really eat at home. I'd rather just eat out somewhere. So I was also, and this is probably the worst, most embarrassing part. At night, right before I go to bed, I was eating a bowl of cereal. And so I'm going to bed with a big, just bowl full of sugar and going to sleep and not really understanding why I keep packing on the pounds.
Right, right. So to say that you were out of shape would be a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, it was pitiful.
So
it was embarrassing.
And we had talked when we had our first initial conversation. You had been going to some different types of workouts. You were going to some CrossFit workouts and some things like that, and just couldn't physically finish the workout. It was too hard for you. What was, besides it being too hard, what would you say was the biggest hurdle for you to get yourself back in shape, kind of get your nutrition on track?
Well, one, I knew nothing about nutrition. I mean, as far as nutrition goes, I knew that, okay, you're not supposed to eat a whole bunch of junk like I am. I knew that if I cut out Cokes, which I didn't mention a minute ago, but I was probably drinking 2 to 3 Cokes a day because I drank those with every meal.
Right.
So I knew that the Starbucks probably wasn't all that good, but I didn't know how bad it was. The biggest thing in regard to nutrition is I just didn't understand it at all. And I didn't know how much of this do I cut out? Is it okay to eat a little? Is it okay if I eat it before noon? Do I cut it out completely? How am I going to get energy? How am I going to feel? It's just very overwhelming. It's intimidating. And then the second thing was in regard to doing CrossFit or any type of exercise program, I need to feel like I'm moving forward, I'm progressing, and I'm getting better at something. And with CrossFit, it was just kicking my rear every day.
Right.
And I got to a point where I didn't really understand some of the exercises, and then I was in there on my own. I wasn't doing it with a class, and so I kind of just lost heart.
Right.
When you cannot ever finish a workout, it really makes you start to just kind of doubt yourself and get down.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just need help.
Yeah. You feel defeated because you have goals and you see people doing these workouts and they look like they're in shape and they're finishing the job and you can't get halfway through it. So, you do exactly what you did right before we talked the first time. You just kind of give up because you don't know what to do. Luckily, you were able to call me and we were able to get you on that program and get you started with it though. But we see that a lot. We see that with people every year in the gym industry that come in January 4th and they start working out. Then by February 14th, they don't look like the dude on the cover of Men's Fitness. So apparently working out doesn't work right for them. So they just kind of give up and they lose hope. But you have to have someone that can coach you through a sensible plan, make smart goals, make attainable goals. Like our first goal for you was, I just need you to cut the sugar and get on a consistent eating plan. And, because we know you didn't know what to eat. You had no clue what your ratios were. And we really didn't get into ratios too much. The first job was just to get you to eat real food and do it in an easy way. You said you got 5 kids and you're a single dad. Have they been receptive to this, your change?
Oh, yeah, they love it. In fact, they don't drink Cokes here at the house anymore, which is great. I mean, it's just one little step at a time.
Yeah.
And I think cutting out sugar is also going to help me with my dental bill. So they're not getting cavities as much, but they responded great. My son's excited because we're going to go do our first Spartan race together. And now I've got my 3 oldest kids that are going to yoga twice a week.
Right.
Which is awesome. So I've got something. Not only is it good for them, it's something that we all get to do together, which is fun for me to be in a class with my kids. And they actually have responded well to the diet. I mean, I've got 1 or 2 of them that are real little. They don't care. Look, Dad, give me chocolate. That's what I want. I want candy. But the other 3 actually responded pretty well to it. And because Morris is giving me real food to eat, and it's not just a special K-bar, they actually are starting to eat it. And plus, I even had one of my daughters in there with me the other day helping me prepare the food. So she and I had a little bit of fun cutting up vegetables and getting stuff ready to cook.
Oh, that's great. And that's, I know if I would have had someone when I was growing up that I could have looked up to as more of a role model and done stuff with, that just seems so cool. And I'm really excited that you get to do that with your son. You guys you're gonna do your first Spartan race together. And I think y'all are doing the one in Austin in May, correct?
Yes, and either we're going to do that one or we're going to do the one with you in Dallas in June.
Nice.
So we're going to pick one of those 2.
Perfect. And guys, Bart's going to do a Spartan race with me because we talked about this, and this is something that he wants to do and something that his son wants to do. But you can do anything you want. I just got off the phone with a lady before we started recording this talk. She has an 11-year-old son who likes to run, and she's never ran a 5K before. So her goal is to run a 5K this spring, and she's going to get her son to do it with you. So, Bart has 5 children. He's a single father. He's making this work, and he's getting them involved with it. They're going to the gym with him. They're doing yoga with him. They're going to get in shape to do a Spartan race. They're helping him cook. So you can make it a fun activity. You said you have 2 that are little that really don't care and don't understand. They just want chocolate. Well, that's great. You can give them chocolate, but start and you know where I'm going with this. We want to give them the dark chocolate that's 70% cacao or darker, but that's good. That's kind of a quick transition. We can do it, but when you're doing this with your kids, you go from milk chocolate to maybe 52% for a week. Then you sneak in a 55%, then a 60%, and so on until 5 weeks down the road, your kids are eating dark chocolate with you, and that's a great healthy snack. So you're just teaching them better habits, and that's great because you've got 5 generations of healthy kids that you're now rearing and bringing up versus where you were 3 weeks ago. We don't know where the future would have gone if you would have continued on that track. So
It was bad.
yeah, it probably wouldn't have been. It probably wouldn't have been the best of situations. So how is this since we've started working together? Tell everybody kind of the changes that you've seen in some of the things that maybe you thought were hard that weren't so hard, just to kind of give people a little bit of motivation. Hey, I can do this. You can do this.
Well, I love Coke. And so for me to give up Coke and give up Starbucks, I thought was going to be a big deal. I haven't had either one in 3 weeks, and I just don't really care. It's not a big deal. Learning how to cook, this is another thing that's been kind of a byproduct for me in all this, is I'm actually myself, I'm in there preparing food, and I'm cooking it now, and that gives me some satisfaction in and of itself alone. Those 2 things, realizing that, you can give it up, right, and it's really not a big deal once I did. And you got to understand, I was addicted. I mean, for 6 straight years, every morning I had a venti mocha from Starbucks. I mean, that's not just the last 6 months. That's right. 6 years that I've been doing that. And every meal having a Coke and looking forward to eating pizza and Coke and all this junk food. And I feel so much better now. Right. And I think one of the great motivators for me is I'm not to the point where I'm ready to take my shirt off in front of people just yet. Right. But I don't mind having my clothes on. I was getting to a point where I didn't even like wearing clothes. I hated the way clothes looked on me. Right. Especially during the wintertime when you wear sweaters that are kind of tight. Right. And I started seeing this little bulge come out, and I never had a belly before. Right. And I wanted to cut that junk off as soon as I could. So those have been some of the things that have allowed – I've had a good experience. It's been positive, and that helps fuel my fire, and it's actually propelling me forward. Good, good. And about the workouts. So we talked earlier about how you started or you were doing the CrossFit workouts and you couldn't get through those. How have you found that in this process so far? Well, the biggest thing for me is the fact that with you, Mo, I don't have to think about what I'm going to do the next day. So I go on to trainingpeaks.com. I've got my username in there. I have my own profile. And so on Sundays, I look at it and I look at the week's worth of workouts because Mo just drops them in there for me, which is great. And I'm telling you that for me, that's 80% of it alone. Because I'll go to the gym and I'll think, am I wasting my time? Am I training too much? Am I not training enough? Should I go do more of this? Should I do less of that? And it just becomes something that convolutes in my head. Right. And I get turned off by the whole thing and I just don't even want to do anything because I start getting, it's almost cognitive dissonance. Simply because it feels overwhelming. And so now I just look on the thing and it says, this is what my workout's going to be. And I just go do it. I've been able to complete all the workouts now. They've scaled back from some of the stuff that I had with CrossFit, but I think I'm actually doing more than I was doing with CrossFit, but I'm being able to complete it now. And I'm not having to think about it. That's just the beauty of the whole thing. Yeah, that's huge. And just let everyone know that when you started this, I mean, you were having a rough time with it. You were having a pretty rough go at it, but we did have to scale back some of the workouts just to make it attainable for you. But again, that's what you have to do, and that's one of the beauties of
having a coach and having a professional to guide you along the way, because you look at these workouts and then, like we talked about before, I can't accomplish this goal, so I feel like a failure. I'm going to go get a venti mocha and a Coke, which is going to stimulate that dopamine receptor of pleasure, the same as a narcotic, heroin and cocaine. So you just have this addictive property that's going on in your brain, and you feel bad about yourself, and it's just a snowball effect. So you've done phenomenal. I think in the first 2 weeks alone, you lost 12 pounds, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah.
Your energy's up, your face. I mean, guys,
right.
You can't tell. He looks like he's in great shape right now. You should have seen him 3 weeks ago. We're not going to show those photos just yet, but we'll get to that at some point in time in the future. But this is fun for me, and it's actually fun for Bart. It's a great way for us to stay connected and work together with each other. But it's also a way for us to teach you how you can do this. How, yes, your goal of health and fitness is attainable. Here's a guy right here with 5 children and is a single father and working on starting a business. So if he can do this and has never cooked before until 3 weeks ago. So we've got crock pot recipes, we've got shake recipes to make in a blender. We've got simple, easy to make recipes that he can follow that we know he's going to be able to do. If you have a crock pot, if you have electricity, you can cook while you're asleep. I've talked about that before. So it's a no-brainer. You were cooking while you were at the gym this morning, if I'm not mistaken. Came home and had everything ready.
And I just ate my chili a minute ago. So, yeah.
See? We're on the roll. So what we're going to do, you guys, we're going to follow Bart. And Bart is going to be, he's going to, I don't want to say our test case, but we're going to follow his progress. And we're going to check back in with him in a couple weeks, see how he's progressing with his workouts, see how his kids are doing, see what issues he's had. So this is going to be kind of a cool thing because we're going to be able to follow his progress in real time. We're also going to be able to follow his struggles and whatever issues he's having along the way. And you're going to see how working with a coach is going to enable him to work through those hurdles. And I'll highlight some of the hurdles that we have that we'll come across between now and then, and we'll talk about them a little bit on the next podcast and how we overcame those hurdles. So it'll be a great learning experience for you guys to see exactly how this process works and how easy it is for you to get in shape and stay and get healthy, but not just for 30 days, not just a quick fix cleanse or some sort of fad diet, but an overall healthy lifestyle change that you can use forever for you and your family. So I'm pretty excited about it. What do you think, Bart?
I'm very excited about it. One of the reasons is I know that me committing to doing this project with you is going to make me stay on track with my diet, because I'm not going to come in here and let everybody down. So it's a great motivating factor. And I am not one, I just want to say this, I'm not one that if this was difficult, I'd be able to do it. I've currently launched 3 different businesses over the last couple of months. I am pulled in multiple directions. When I don't have my kids, I'm in business. When I'm not in business, I've got my kids. And so this is something that I had to be able to plug it into my life. Mm-hmm. And I had to make it a priority.
Right.
However, it didn't have to dominate my life. And Morris has just made it so easy. That's really what I'm probably the most happy about, is how easy it's been. And I did. He told me, he said, Bart, you're probably going to lose close to 10 pounds during the first 2 weeks because of inflammation and water weight. And, forget how much fat I may have burned. But I literally dropped over 10 pounds in less than 2 weeks. And all of a sudden I'm flexible. And it doesn't hurt when I run as much.
Right.
I just feel better. I breathe better. I mean, and this has only been a couple of weeks. I can't imagine what it's going to be like after the first 30 days, after the first 45, and then 90.
Yeah.
We're going to see some pretty significant differences. And I'm glad that we're doing this now. And by the way, we didn't even mention this, Morris. I started this the week before Christmas. And so it's right there in the middle of the holiday season when everybody's eating all this junk. And I literally said, I'm not doing it this year. I'm going to lose this weight. Right. When everybody else is putting on 5 to 7 pounds, I dropped 10. So
exactly.
That's a huge swing.
Oh, yeah, it's massive. And you went to your mom's house and you still ate some of the good food, quote, good food, that your mom makes, which I told you to do, and you still lost weight. So you can eat whatever you want to eat within moderation, but that's all in part of the plan. So, I'm excited about this, man. And Bart lives in Louisiana, so he doesn't have really good access to a lot of Whole Foods markets or Central markets and things like that. But he can still eat well. And the biggest thing, like I mentioned earlier, we were dang near the exact same person when we met in college. We were both super active. We played flag football. We were mobile. We never sat still. Flash forward 20 years, I'm kind of the same, a little bit better shape because I continue to do that. But Bart is the typical American father who started businesses, raises a family, and he's almost 40 years old. And look at the shape that he was in. And unfortunately, we have this mindset of, well, I guess I'm just getting old. I need to go see the doctor and get on some pills. That's not the case. We've made a massive turnaround in 3 weeks' time. You feel better than you felt in the last 10 years in the last 3 weeks.
No question.
Just from simply changing your diet and starting to move and starting to think about being healthy. So this isn't impossible. You can do it. And that's what we're going to show you over the next couple months with Bart. So, Bart, you have anything else to add for us, man?
I'm just excited to go on the journey, and I look forward to great results. And hopefully anything that comes about this project can encourage other people to be able to do this as well. I just didn't want to miss out on life, And I wasn't obese. So don't get me wrong. I went to the point where I can't walk down the hall.
Right.
I could do that, but it's better to make it a preventative measure now than it is just I got to go fix a whole bunch of stuff later. And you said something earlier about how people start on January 4th and then they hope by Valentine's Day they look like the guy on the cover of the magazine.
Yeah.
It didn't take – I didn't do this to my body in a matter of 45 days. I did it to my body in a matter of doing a yo-yo type thing over the last 15 to 20 years. But it really is amazing how incredible the body can bounce back. It won't take me 15 years to get in good shape.
No.
It'll be accomplished during this year, and
Absolutely.
probably before swimsuit season comes around, where we're all at the pool this June.
Right. And I'm glad you said that. So, and I've taught you this also. You have to be patient. You're not going to have a 30-day turnaround where you look absolutely amazing. Is it possible? In some cases, yes, but that usually doesn't last. So we're here to teach you lifestyle changes, and it comes off and it stays off, and you're healthier, and you're in a better position to teach your kids good habits. So when they get our age, they're teaching people what we're doing right now. So it's going to be fun, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Thanks,
Mo.
Mo.
Yeah, man, absolutely. That'll be fun. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you have any questions or comments for us or anything you want to see us do throughout this process, leave a comment below, or you can shoot me an email at mo@eatrealandmove.com. All right. I'll catch you guys next week. Bart, see you soon, buddy.
Thanks, bud.